Good morning. Welcome back to the Retirement Report. I'm Hank Parrott, your host. With me, my good friend, special guest, Russ Cook with Russ Cook & Associates over in Brentwood, Tennessee. Russ is a board-certified estate planning attorney. That's all he does, specializes in estate planning, taxes, and the like. And Russ and I have been working together for
almost 30 years. No,
not quite the 30 years, but I'd say maybe close to half that.
I would say so, for
That's
sure.
Pretty good, yeah. And I got to tell you, this is the other piece I'm going to give you. When it comes to Russ, because of the time we've been working together, which is about, I think, around 15 years now, we've got a lot of mutual clients, and I've seen the planning. We've had a lot of those clients that have passed away. Estate planning, sometimes people wait. We've had some that we've literally done on people's deathbed where they're, short for this world and they're trying to get all their affairs in order, and we've met with them with them and literally where they were bedridden, and we came to their place or, whether it was hospital or their home to take care of those matters for them. And so we'd see what I've seen how it works on the other side when you get, as I talked about earlier, making sure that your documents are going to do what you intend them to do. Well, I've seen that with Russ's documents. I know that when we sit down, we work as a team to help people with their planning, and I'm very much involved with my clients in terms of making sure, because we do regular reviews, so we want to make sure that when we set up an estate plan that it's going to do that, and we keep checking in through the years to keep it up to date. So when someone passes, we also go through helping with the administration of that estate and making sure that, again, we see exactly just what we intended is what happened. So, again, kudos there, Russ. I've enjoyed working with you and looking forward to many more years. Yeah. And we're going to now talk to Carol. Carol, welcome to the Retirement Report.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. How can we help this morning?
Well, I would like to know if you have any idea how the new tax plan might affect our Social Security for those of us that have that as a part of our income along with pensions. Do we have any idea how that might affect? I know it's nothing definite, but
right.
What is the thinking toward that? And I'd like to hang up and listen to your answer.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you, Carol.
Right.
One of the things when it comes to taxes, when it comes to the new tax law, and next week we'll have the new, we should have, I think, the final version out there, and we'll do a special show just about the new tax law. But on this part with regard to Social Security benefits, currently Social Security benefits, depending on how much income you make, whether they're taxed or not, and this is called a provisional income formula. It takes half of your Social Security and it adds in things like, if you have earnings, of course, wages, but also required minimum distributions maybe, or any kind of distribution from a traditional IRA or a 401k or other kind of company plan, thrift savings plan, the like. Those get added in. Things that, like municipal bond interest, which normally might not be taxed, but still counts when it comes to this provisional income formula in determining whether or not your Social Security benefits are going to be taxed. And then depending on what that income, how much that adds up to. So for a couple, I think it's for the $32,000, I believe. For a couple, if that provisional income formula is over $32,000, then up to 50% of your benefits can be taxed. If it gets up over, I think it's $44,000, then up to 85% of your benefits can be counted as taxable income. And then there's a whole worksheet and how it breaks down into how much that would be. The new tax law, anything I've read so far, has not address that in any way as far as changing it. And the limits, by the way, these go back to the 1980s when this was first put into place. In the early 80s, the 50% taxation rule, and that was under the first President Bush, and then under Clinton was the second, the 85% piece was added in. And the limits that they place have never adjusted for inflation, so more and more people find their Social Security benefits being taxed. Surprise, right? So whether or not anything's going to change there, I haven't seen anything in the new tax legislation. So the expectation is it's going to continue to be that provisional income formula anyway is going to continue to be the same. All right, we're going to make another offer out here for the estate planning and for the comprehensive financial planning. So for the first 10 callers to my office, Tess is standing by, 615-376-5325. She'll take your information. She'll send you out a little packet of things to fill out, and a checklist of things to bring to your appointment with me. And we're going to do up a free, when I say free retirement income analysis, to be clear, that's a comprehensive financial plan. We're going to talk about your investments. We'll do an investment analysis for you. Income with regard to what's your income going to look like in retirement. How can we make sure that you have enough? What do we want to do, right? We want to attain and maintain our standard of living and quality of life no matter how long you live. And making sure, we need to know what the needed rate of return on your investments are to do that, and are you earning enough to do that? And are you taking more risk maybe than you need to? Are you being paid for the risks that you're taking in your portfolio? I can't tell you how many I look at that have risk in their portfolios that are greater than the S&P 500 index in terms of volatility, and yet they're making a lot less money. There are ways, there's a science to investing that can show you how to get a lot more return, get a better return than the market, yet with less volatility when we look at the historical return. So that's part of it. We talk about Social Security, any of the needs that you have. It's all, again, about a comprehensive plan, and we get into tax planning. How do we reduce and minimize taxes? It's not just what you make, it's what you keep, and keeping more in your pocket and less in the IRS's is a good thing. Estate planning, we get into that as well, so there's a lot that we cover for you. Be one of the first 10 callers, 615-376-5325 this morning. And Tess will get your information and send that out to you. We're going to replay this over the weekend. So guess what? For you on the weekend, if you get this, we're going to make an allowance for you as well to get you in. So please, if you'd like to be one of the first 10 callers, give us a call, 615-376-5325. And when you come in to see me, I'll give you a free copy of my book, 7 Steps to Financial Freedom in Retirement. Cover all the planning that we've been talking about, how to, income, expenses, assets, liabilities, how to gather all together and make sense of it, allowing for taxes, allowing for inflation, making sure what your needed rate of return, but also what is that rate of return and what's it going to look like for you in the future. Cover a lot in there, as well as tax mastery, IRA mastery, go into how to minimize taxes. When you're putting money into a retirement plan, you start taking it out, guess what? You're going to have to pay a lot of taxes. And we're going to talk about the difference between traditional and Roth, and all that is in the book as well. Safe money alternatives, how the smart money invests, long-term care, estate planning, it's all there, and we cover it all when we do the comprehensive planning. Speaking of IRAs, I want to circle back around to that. This is one of the things a few years ago, Supreme Court ruled, and the tax laws, the trust laws changed.
They did.
With regard to IRAs.
They did. We initially thought that when an IRA passed down to a child beneficiary, that it would be protected throughout the child's lifetime, the same as it's protected during your lifetime from creditor claims. However, the Supreme Court ruled 3 or 4 years ago, or 2 or 3 years ago, that that was not the case. And we see more and more that the possible eroding of the benefits that you normally have with a retirement account when they pass down to the next generation. So for all our clients that have retirement accounts, we're talking to them about not giving them directly to the children, but allowing for them to pass into trusts for the children. And this is a trust that would be created inside of the revocable trust agreement that we prepare, designating the child as both the trustee and beneficiary, so they have complete access and control over the IRA or 401k assets. And yet, because the trust is written in a way that allows us to use the child's life expectancy for the payout, we're not getting any worse benefit from an income tax standpoint than if it went directly to the child. And we know that that protective wrapper of the trust keeps it from the child's creditors, marital dissolution issues. That usually ends up being the biggest asset that gets divided up in a divorce. And it just gives the child that control without having those problems associated with it.
That's it. This is one of the big ones that a lot of us worry about, right? When it comes to divorce and how prevalent divorce is in our society, of course, this is more likely in many instances is not. But if that in-law becomes an outlaw, we want to make sure they're not walking away with your money, right? Mm-hmm. And with the IRAs and that, this is one of those areas. So since they don't have, now if you got sued as an example, if you, God forbid, you had any kind of things like personal injury lawsuits or bankruptcy or tax problems or, again, divorce for that matter, how to protect these assets to, during your lifetime, you've got certain protections with regard to your IRAs and retirement accounts. Now on the divorce side of things, it's a little different, of course, for us that are married and have these, if you're married and have assets that are so they're going to be divided. This isn't going to, do anything any different there. And for a couple, they're probably not going to be as concerned about that. The more concern is when it's left to their children, that those monies are protected so that they stay in your bloodline, right? That they're going to go to your children, not to this now outlaw kind of, and maybe out sideways and to their children or their relatives and not to your family. So good planning can make sure that it stays in your family, that it goes to your children, onto your grandchildren, and the like. It also, when it comes to the tax planning aspects, making sure that they have the full benefit of being able to stretch out that IRA in terms of the required minimum distributions, so they can take as much out as they want, understanding it's going to be taxable still. But the more, when they leave it in, it's protected, number one. Number two, of course, it's going to last longer. And it's not going to be mixed in with marital assets, so that's an important part. But the other is that they can stretch out in terms of how long they can keep that IRA in place, get the tax benefits, and if it's Roth IRA, those are tax-free benefits. That can be tremendous, and even for your grandchildren, the same thing. So again, good planning when it comes to IRAs and the protection it can provide by using a trust. All right, this is one of those another benefit that you get with it, and keeping the beneficiaries up to date. Russ had talked about that earlier, making sure that when we do reviews, we're always checking to make sure if anything has changed, that if a new account is opened up, if we do a Roth, if we convert something from a traditional to a Roth, that we make sure that the beneficiary designations, in particular with regard to the trust and the like, is kept up to date as well. So hopefully you're meeting on a regular basis, 2-3 times a year at least, with your planner, your advisor, your financial advisor that is, specifically to do those things. When and making sure, in fact, that if anything happens to you, that those documents are up to date with regard to both beneficiary designations, and that it's in keeping with the estate plan that you've gone to the trouble of fixing up.
Yeah,
all right,
and just
take another
you
break.
Go. Okay,
we're going to come back. So when we come back, I'm going to go right to Russ. Hold that thought. So we're going to find out what that is, because this is one of the things here. It's really sad when something is just so easy, just a little maintenance and a little bit of and if you've got a good advisor to help you make sure that these things are done, it's huge in terms of the value to your family. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll dive back in again. All right, join me here. We'll be right back on the Retirement Report.
On a very